I'm Tony McAllister. I'm an engineer with more than 30 years experience. I've been very fortunate in my career to have been heavily involved in movements such as healthy waterways here in southeast Queensland and to have undertaken a wide range of innovative water-sensitive urban design and sustainable drainage type projects around the world and here in Australia. We're here on the Halls Creek site on the Sunshine Coast of southeast Queensland. To my left is the actual catchment itself, a cleared catchment currently used for agricultural and grazing purposes, which drains any runoff to a wetland located to my right, which is located within the site itself. Any runoff which does enter that wetland ultimately passes into Halls Creek itself and then about a further 3 kilometres downstream enters Pumice-Stone Passage. The Halls Creek site has got a unique characteristic in that it is upstream of Pumice-Stone Passage and it also has within its presence this wetland that we talked about earlier. What that means is to protect Pumice-Stone Passage, which is a key edict of any development in this region, we have to extensively cleanse the stormwater that flows off the site, treat it in areas such as this, pass it through the wetland as a final filter before it ultimately enters Pumice-Stone Passage. When we do that, we know that we can guarantee the protection and in fact the enhancement of the environmental attributes of Pumice-Stone Passage. We're now located about midway up the catchment of Halls Creek, cleared agricultural land. If in the future this site is developed, it will have to meet the same goalposts that the adjacent Caloundra South site have had to meet. And those key goalposts are no change in water quality in Pumice-Stone Passage. In order to achieve the objective of no change and the protection of Pumice-Stone Passage, a wide-ranging hierarchy of treatment measures will be applied on this site. Collection of rainwater in rainwater tanks and reuse, the use of bioretention measures, vegetated drainage channels, bioretention systems, wetlands. A large part of the site will be taken up by these devices to treat stormwater. Ultimately, the cleansed and purified stormwater will flow into the wetland at the bottom end of the site that we showed that will provide a final buffer before the flows ultimately, about 3 kilometres downstream, enter Pumice-Stone Passage. I'm confident we're going to be able to protect Pumice-Stone Passage if and when this site is developed in the future. There is already in place a Pumice-Stone Passage catchment and action plan that identifies a range of more than 70 measures that can and will be undertaken by stakeholders in the region. Stockland are a signatory to that plan, as are the Sunshine Coast Council and the Moreton Bay Regional Council. That plan identifies a wide range of measures, particularly focusing on the hotspot of Coochin Creek, where the plan identifies agricultural runoff as the dominant cause of the water quality problems in Pumice-Stone Passage. One of the misconceptions that's been bandied around about this site is because we are closer to Pumice-Stone Passage than other potential sites, there's a greater risk. It's an absolute falsehood. In a catchment, any bit of water that falls on the catchment drains to the receiving waters. Doesn't matter whether you're 1 kilometre or 10 kilometres away from the receiving water. In this particular site, we've got no flooding problems, we've got a well-defined catchment, we've got a great treatment system that we know is going to protect the passage. Other potential sites, though, have got a much less advantageous situation. They are upstream of heavily urbanised areas, and in particular I'm talking about BUA East here in respect to Pelican Waters. Development of these other sites could cause massive downstream flooding implications. They also drain to much more sensitive waterways than we do, those being Coochin Creek and Bells Creek. Our site is self-contained, it drains to Halls Creek, which has got the sensitive wetlands quite a distance downstream. In the BUA East context, Coochin Creek and Bells Creek have got sensitive wetlands much further upstream than we have on this site. As an engineer, I think it's crucial that any decisions that are made about land development, planning, change in this area are based on facts, knowledge and good research rather than hearsay. The facts are, this is a good site, it's cleared, we've got a great treatment system in place, I'm confident this site can be developed and there will be no impacts on Pumice-Stone Passage.